Then let's call this meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Grisanti.
Here.
Commissioner Grisanti. Vice Chair Sampson.
Here.
Chair Shankman.
Here.
You have a quorum.
So for the Pledge of Allegiance, we always punish the member of the public by having him or her lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag. Ready, Kevin? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
to which
and
the
to the republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
That's our way of discouraging public participation in the civic process.
Yeah, I like our flag. I have our flag in front of our house.
Okay. Shall we have the report on posting of the agenda?
Yes, the agenda for this meeting was properly posted on October 10th, 2025.
Okay. So for the sake of public,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda.
call for discussion.
Okay.
So for the sake of full disclosure to the public, there was an agenda posted on October 10th. That agenda was posted outside of City Hall and placed on the city's website. There was another agenda posted on October 13th at approximately 1 p.m. outside of City Hall. That agenda, while differing in some minor ways, was not posted on the city's website, which leaves an interesting predicament that I'm not sure what to do with. There's a motion to approve the agenda. So do we have a second?
Which one are we approving?
Well, the thing I have in my hand is the one that was posted on the 10th of October. Do you have one that was posted on the 13th?
Kevin.
So Paul, your motion is to approve.
I was unaware of the existence of an agenda that was posted on the 13th.
This agenda was not posted on the website. Would not.
The Brown
The
Act
city
says
cannot
required.
proceed with with this other agenda since it was not posted on the website.
Right.
So do you want to clarify your motion?
I can only go with the one that was posted on the website
Okay. So your motion is to approve the agenda
of October 10th.
October 10th. Is there a second?
You can make me.
City Attorney, what's the consequence if we do not approve an agenda?
We can adjourn the meeting. We don't have anything to talk about.
Okay.
This
I
is
will,
on Channel 3.
for the purpose of a vote, second Commissioner Grisanti's motion. Grisanti. Should we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Grisanti.
Yes.
Chair Shankman.
Abstain.
Vice Chair Sampson.
If I abstain, what happens?
Well,
Motion
we
passed.
could make a substitute motion as
Okay,
to the
I'll
other.
abstain.
Motion carries.
102 carries?
We have a majority of the
Majority of
quorum,
the
and we have
votes,
a-
but
we have
it's
a
only
majority
one vote.
Yeah, no, I think you're
I
right.
think you're, yeah.
It's a new one for me, but abstentions don't count against the vote. So
We try to make it
it
interesting.
was one vote.
1-0.
Pass.
I've never had a 1-0. I've had a 2-1 before, but I think it'd be the
I've
same.
had a 2-1-1, but this is a new one.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not an ordinance, it's not a resolution.
Alrighty, so Next item on the agenda is ceremonial presentations. However, I think that due to the city council canceling its meeting, that we don't have a commissioner to give the oath of office to.
Correct, we do not have a commissioner. This was scheduled before that meeting had to be canceled.
Okay, and I understand that it is likely that we will have 2 new commissioners for our next meeting, so look forward to that. Let's move on to the consent calendar. So,
We have no previously discussed issue items.
right, but then we have some items new items on the consent calendar. Right.
Correct.
Does anyone want to pull any of the items for discussion? And I should also say, we should open up to public comment if Ms. Haddock has any comment regarding this item.
Let's move on.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Time is money.
Does anyone want to pull any of the items from the consent calendar? I'm going to pull approval of minutes and adoption of a resolution to establish a schedule for regular commission.
Okay,
So, why don't we start with
item B1.
2B1. Have some issues with the minutes. There is many, and I would ask our city clerk, I have probably a dozen changes. Would you prefer that we go through those changes, or simply not approve the minutes?
I think if you are fine waiting to approve the minutes, it'd be easier if we discuss those outside this meeting, and we can bring revised draft minutes back at the next meeting.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion to do as the clerk suggested, and put off the approval of the minutes until the next meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I'm a little confused. Why wouldn't we want to discuss the items that you want to change, and then we can either agree or discuss anything that, I have no idea what items you want to change.
Sure.
And as a result of that, I don't know if I'm gonna vote in favor or against those items you want to change.
That's fair. I'm kind of ambivalent as to how we go about this. That's why I asked the city clerk her preference. But I'm fine to go through the changes now if that would be.
If you could go through the changes, I would really appreciate it.
Okay.
Because we could go through them and then you can still give the notes to Kelsey and then the be brought back.
Yeah, if there are that many changes, I'd rather bring it back,
So
so
that we
we
don't
can
have
bring
to
it back
intervene
clean
if the
for you
changes
than
there.
try to change it all on the floor here.
Well,
You
I-
can absolutely discuss it more.
Sure. So I'll try to go through them quickly.
That's good.
So they range from the inconsequential to the mundane.
Put them in the order they appear in the minutes.
Sure. Pledge of Allegiance, it was actually Candace Ferguson that led the Pledge of Allegiance on page 1. Page 3, where it describes what I stated, just above the first motion on page 3. I would delete the phrase due solely to the unavailability of and insert without the acquiescence of.
Where is that? It's in the motion?
So
Just
page
above the
3,
motion.
3/4 of the way down.
Right.
Oh,
And then change the subsequent or to and delete the word will on the next line.
No objections to any of those.
just show me. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Follow along.
Page 3 again. Got it. Okay, thank you.
So next I have, the motion was insert the word agreement after absent and change.
Hold on. After absent.
Right,
You're looking at the second motion on the page.
correct.
Okay.
And replace the word or with and.
The or between vice chair and chair?
Correct.
And Chair, I'm sorry, I wasn't personally at your next meeting, so just to make sure I understood, the commission's motion was that a meeting may not be canceled without the agreement of the chair and vice chair, even if they're unavailable to contact or coordinate with staff.
Yeah, so this was not about whether the chair or vice chair was available for the meeting. The issue was we didn't want meetings to be summarily canceled by staff without the agreement of the chair and vice chair.
Was there a recording of that meeting?
We have an audio recording.
I don't wanna make you go get it. My
I'm
recollection.
happy to share it with you guys, but this might be, obviously the commission will take no
It's
action
good to
outside
go
the
off
meeting,
that.
but if you have specific questions, you know,
My-
after
well,
going through the changes,
my
we can also
recollection
discuss it.
Differs from the
Okay.
chairs. I thought or was what I
Or,
thought that was what the motion was.
Okay.
And I think the premise was sort of, well, rounding up two people when, what at the time was a body of four, sounded too hard. And I think that was the premise behind it, or maybe, I'm 78, but that is my recollection.
so, look, my recollection has been getting worse and worse every day, so,
Alzheimer.
could be.
Old timers, not Alzheimer's.
So, but is adding the word agreement consistent?
Agreement is, agreement is correct. I think we did make it or.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then the result of the motion is that it passed unanimously, and that's not reflected in the minutes.
The second motion also carried unanimously.
Right.
Yes.
The next page, the first line, should be 3.2%, not 2.2%. And then Mr. Rojas's remarks were that that increase was permitted based on the CPI of Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim,
Mhm.
which I think is potentially important.
That's not what we summarized at the bottom of page 4?
Well, that's
That's what we
getting
had.
there. Then, with respect to Drew Ann Jacobson's, the answer to Drew Ann Jacobson's question, staff clarified the notice reflects the maximum allowed. I don't believe the commission joined that clarification.
I'm sorry.
So it's the
Second full paragraph.
yes.
Okay.
So then midway down the page where it describes Chair Shankman confirmed, that should be changed to the following. Chair Shankman confirmed the ceiling of the CPI increase is 5% and the floor is 2%.
Yes.
Then the next paragraph that starts with Chair Shankman questioned, I would delete the sentence, he requested verification that the current Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim CPI is appropriate. I have my own view about that. It might change, but we'll see where that comes out. The next paragraph, I would add to make my remarks accurate as to my thinking, should read, Chair Shankman stated the city council had the authority to select any CPI index in enacting the mobile home rent stabilization ordinance and has the authority to select any CPI index in amending the ordinance. So to be clear, I'm actually of the view that that the city staff does not have and did not have the authority to arbitrarily select any particular CPI index. I think that is the power of the council.
I don't believe the council has the authority to select any index they want, like Louisiana's New Orleans district or things like that. And the problem is we're working with a government study that's done for all over the country. There are different studies for different areas, and we happen to be in the Los Angeles, Long Beach, which is different than what we were in 25 years ago, or in 1990. It's more than 25 years ago, in 1995 or whatever it was.
Okay, and I'm not suggesting that what I'm saying is the definitive answer.
Yeah.
I'm just seeking now to correct the minutes.
You're saying that's what was said at the previous meeting?
Right, and this is probably a debate that maybe we have at a later meeting when it's agendized,
Okay.
maybe we don't, maybe it never comes up, who knows, but I'm just seeking to correct my position. Okay.
Candace was on her way, but she's waiting for AAA. She got a nail on PCH.
It's not a rare occurrence.
I'm shocked.
So,
Okay. Anything else?
In page 5.
page 5, Drew Ann Jacobson's remark towards the bottom of the page. I believe instead of the park owners and tenants, she was referring to Point Dune Club. Had an amicable relationship. So I think Paradise Cove, not so much.
Joanne is going to the doctor right now.
Okay.
Is she okay?
Doctor's
Good.
appointment.
Oh, good.
Page 6.
Tell her I said so.
Page 6, middle of the page. The second the paragraph in the middle that starts with Chair Shankman further expressed. Going down to the last sentence, delete the word subleased, and then add after mobile homes the phrase not occupied by the mobile home owner. The following paragraph, replace the word another with the next. And then finally, and this may be my
I guess you
memory.
could put my name in there.
That too.
I don't want to be unnecessarily difficult.
Finally, on the last page, my recollection is that we did in fact have commissioner comments in the commissioner inquiries section, but I don't particularly recall exactly what they were. Or maybe, like Ms. Haddock said, I have Alzheimer's and it's, you know.
I'll check the recording myself for that as well.
So that's what I have. And I suppose we could open this up for discussion if anyone has any, or we can simply move along and bring this approval of amended minutes to the next meeting.
Agreed.
Did
Let's move
we
it
already
along.
make a motion on that?
There was a motion on the floor from Chair Shankman, seconded by Vice Chair Sampson.
Okay. Well,
So
Call the
maybe
question,
amend the
please.
motion to direct it to bring back with the suggested
these
changes
revisions.
for consideration by the council.
Yes.
well, I
So
vote for the motion.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. I'm good for that.
Kevin, Joanne just said, I've suggested a couple of people for the other slots.
Okay.
If you know what that means.
I do. All right, so moving on to the next item, adoption of a resolution to establish a schedule for regular commission meetings. Any public comment? Seeing none, any commissioner comments? Start with Commissioner Bersani.
I am of the opinion that The third Tuesday of the month is fine.
Thursday.
Thursday. They both start with
That's fine
Ts.
too?
Yeah. Yes, question.
You can't make it during the day like this because half of the park people work
And
they can't be here. They're at work. So it has to be in an evening. I know you work all day here and you don't want to be here at night, but it's not fair because,
I'm sorry, ma'am, could I get your name for the
Veronique?
minutes when you're done with your comments?
sure, Veronique Haddock. I've had a lot of people in the park say they can't come to these meetings because they're at work. And they can't miss a day at work because we're paying the rent. So we have to make some kind of, do you see?
my
I'm retired.
understanding when the daytime
It-
thing was
Or
set,
even a Saturday.
Are you
Yeah.
done with your?
Yeah.
Okay.
my understanding when they were looking for a time to have these, the problem is getting availability of staff
I know.
and other uses that are being made of the room at various.
We could have it at our clubhouse too. I mean, that's just an option. We got a brand new clubhouse if it's another idea for our mobile home
You're
park.
at Point Doom?
Yes, sir.
Only for the last 60 years.
55.
55? Okay.
The park opened in 1971. I moved in at 72 at 14 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
So that is a big, huge concern because people are just, where are you? I'm at work.
Commissioner Sampson?
Well, I was appointed to serve the public, and that's my goal here.
Good.
Serve the public, and in some cases, probably render decisions that may or may not conform to what some of them want. We're a quasi-judicial body also, but I would much prefer to be able to accommodate you and anybody that wants to see what we're doing. Sunlight's a very strong disinfectant. That's not original with me, and I believe in having all of this in sunlight. How to make it happen with staff's needs? They're here a lot of hours.
I know that. I know that.
And I'm married.
And we
She
can't
wants
do it.
me around
And you
more,
can't
but
do it a
that's-
Saturday or Sunday
I'm
because,
married, she wants me around less, so, hey,
correct? We can't do it a Saturday or Sunday.
I don't know.
Correct?
Correct.
Is there anything that's prohibits that?
can I offer, on the issue of the time, I think Ms. Haddock makes a good point, one that was made previously as well. On the other hand, we need to balance facility availability and staff availability with the public desire to be here and their schedules. And what I would suggest is that we go with the third Thursday of each month at 1:30 for the time being, with the understanding that if that we may change that, that we may end up having some special meetings, particularly to deal with potentially with applications for fee increase or decrease, may not be handled at our regular meetings. But I would suggest keeping the third Thursday of each month at 1:30 for the time being, seeing how it works out, and then potentially, changing the time for every third meeting or something like that, every fourth meeting, to something that would perhaps be more accommodating of people with work schedules. Because believe it or not, some people in Malibu do actually work. Not many, but some. So that's my suggestion: is leave it for now and perhaps.
Are
change
we
it.
taping for Channel 3 for our city? Yes or no?
So that's
I don't
something
know.
that we discussed
Taping
earlier.
for her channel.
Or what?
Yeah. So, right, that's not Channel 3.
That's
right?
news.
That's the news.
News?
For state news.
All
Okay.
members of the public have the
Well,
right
yeah,
to
of course they
record
do.
public meetings.
Well, of course
Because,
they do.
you know, we
I
have,
just
we
didn't know
have the
what it was.
Malibu on Channel 3,
Yeah.
and then people
So-
could record it and could watch it that way too. That's another
So
alternative.
as I understand it, the city council probably a month or two ago directed that commission meetings be recorded, and staff is working on the logistics of making that happen. So that could also alleviate the problem. So I also want to, consistent with what I mentioned in the changes to the minutes, I would add in section 1 of the draft resolution, a sentence as follows: no regular meeting of the Mobile Home Park Rent Stabilization Commission shall be canceled without the agreement of the chair or vice chair of the commission. And with that, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution as described with that amendment.
And Chair Shankman, if this is probably on the mind because we just went through a major disaster. But we did cancel several commission meetings in January. There could be scenarios where it's not feasible to contact the chair and vice chair to cancel a meeting in very extreme situations.
Sure, so that's actually why I had it as and. Commissioner Sampson said it should be or. I agree. That leaves it to, look, staff should be able to contact one or the other to cancel the meeting. Look, if there's a natural disaster, what happened this week was not a natural disaster. It didn't prevent, an email for example, Mayor Riggins to cancel the council meeting. I presume that was done. I think it is important to have these regular meetings not subject to arbitrary cancellation. And so that's why I am suggesting that amendment to the resolution. And it's consistent with what we discussed and agreed to at the last meeting as well.
Well, I think we're discussing the motion. I'll second it.
Thank you. So
I don't have any further discussion.
there's a motion and second.
I'm
Commissioner
in favor of the motion.
All right, me too.
So vote by acclamation, I suppose.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you. Let's move on to.
I was gonna say something about the meetings. Everything we do is conceivably going to be substantive. There will be more important substantive issues, and we'll try to work on some way, something big time affecting all these people. Do everything we can to get them to hear us. Also, I would urge them to write to us. They can do that. How would they address it, Kelsey, to you? If they
Yes,
want, yeah.
they can
If
send
you send
correspondence.
written comments to Kelsey, I mean, you can send them anytime. And what's the address for that? It's
They can send it to city clerk at
city
MalibuCity.org.
clerk at
That's
MalibuCity.org. Say it's for the Malibu, oh no, Mobile Home Park Rent Stabilization Commission.
Hold on one sec.
Verdict, you also have my number,
I
so
know.
there's that too.
Hold on. Wait one sec.
Yeah. You may not have my number, but I'm not hard to find. And write to us. We will read it.
Okay, so shall we move to the next item?
Yeah, let's.
4A, new business, review of existing applications for mobile home space adjustment. I believe we probably have some report from staff, Mr. Ross.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Bill, pardon me, Candace, can you please, let me videotape you. Damn it, I would love for you to say that right. Hold on, she's asking me a question.
Okay.
Come on, say that one
Mr.
more
Ross, you wanna go ahead?
time,
What am I doing?
camera. I'm going for video.
Um,
Ready? Bill, could you please say that right now?
About
That they
writing
can
to
write.
us?
Yeah, ready?
Oh, okay.
Ready, go.
If you have comments for the Malibu Mobile Home Park Rent Stabilization Commission, please send them to cityclerk@malibucity.org. Not only will we read them, I believe we are required to read them. They become public record, so you're gonna be on record out there. And your name's gonna be on it. I think the city redacts, other personally identifiable information, and Kelsey knows better than I on that one, but we will read it and get it to us. Look for the, check the city website. You can get notice of these meetings on the city website. It tells you how to do it, and you'll get the notices. The agenda's likely to come out only a few days before, but we're gonna be meeting on third Thursdays for the rest of this year. And therefore, you're gonna see the agenda no later than Monday, I believe. So you got 3 days to write to us. Please do.
Okay. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Mr. Rojas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a quick summary, staff presented to the commission at our last meeting in September an overview of the existing application forms that are available to residents to contest either rent increases or decreases. There was some brief discussion about the length of the existing forms and the desire to have a more simplistic form available for the public to use. Staff were presented with an overview of a new form from Chair Shankman, and in preparation for this meeting, we included a somewhat revised version. Really, it's font and styling, but it's essentially the same version of what was presented to us by the chair. It was reviewed by staff, and we believe it could fulfill the need and the desire of the commission, and but we won't know until we test it. So this is, customary to any type of government business. It's always prudent to revise outdated application forms, and so this was our best effort to address the request from the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Rojas. Any public comment?
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Grisanti.
I think it's a good job, and I think that in all likelihood, since our ordinance is clear to the people who are operating parks, we are not going to have them try to do anything that's going to result in an appeal. But if there is a need for an appeal and a rent adjustment, then the form is fairly straightforward, I think, and I would endorse its use. And if this is all a training process, not for us and not for you guys, it's for the management of the various parks, so that they don't do anything that's gonna cause a problem where they have put out increases that are not approved. So,
We already have some increases of $25, and so our rent bill, and I was gonna be late, so, and they later.
We're gonna,
Okay, never mind.
if we address that, it probably will need to be through an application to the commission, and there's a procedure for doing that, and that's what we're
Okay.
trying to set, is how that's done. Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sampson, do you have any?
Okay, well, I'm looking at the city's form at Mr. Rojas. Okay, first, has Mr. Rusin reviewed it? Trevor?
Sorry, say that
No,
again.
so
Did you review, the city's presented a rent adjustment application. Did you review that before it got here?
I haven't reviewed
This
it.
is sort of due diligence kind of stuff. I can't imagine it being offensive to the city council, city attorney, but,
Richard tells me that Callan's review the.
Yeah, we circulated.
okay, good. And the suggested form from the chair is a declaration under penalty of perjury. It probably ought to say under the laws of the state of California, but,
True.
the one proposed by the city does not. Is there a reason for that?
No.
Okay.
I would suggest adding that back on.
I would like to have that, and it should say penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California. Or you have to put in, I don't even remember what you have to do on that.
You're right.
The old days, we always put in the, had to put in the place.
There's
who signed
actually
it.
cases like rejecting declarations
I-
because they say under the laws of the United States rather than California.
Yeah,
or
I've
execute
seen
somewhere
those,
else.
I don't want to do those. I mean, the basic form is about what, the chairman suggested. Some of the items at the bottom of what he suggested, I would prefer if there's, like, which park are you in? I guess Mobilehome park owner information, that, maybe that advises us, so we know then. I'd really like to know if it's gonna be applicable to more than one space so that we can consolidate cases. If I'm gonna be a quasi judicial officer and I'm gonna have 20 of these, that are essentially identical, I'd like to resolve it once. And I think isn't that why Kevin put it in there? I'd prefer that unless there's something statutorily or constitutionally infirm about it, and I don't think there is.
Right. Could I interrupt you just
Yeah,
for
why
one
not? You
second?
wrote it,
So
so.
everyone's on the same. So, I took the liberty, and if you could pass those to Trevor and Richard, and then,
Is this,
yeah. one copy
which
of
version
those.
are we on?
Okay, so, can you pass that to Kelsey?
Oh, I'm sorry.
For the public.
There you go.
So, once the staff report came out, I attempted to take what I had provided at the previous meeting, what was in the staff report, and sort of consolidate it into what I think is, the changes, Richard, that you made or staff made generally, that seem warranted, and then sort of combine the two into something that I think is appropriate. And I can take you through, and I'd also like to hear your rationale as to some of the changes from the previous one, if there is, and let's get this resolved today and get a form done. But with that interruption, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, well, you said some of my, and I wasn't quite sure of the timing on which got prepared when, but which park, it's probably good to see. Applicable to more than one space, I think is a good idea. Which park, I suppose we can discern that from the city, what I'll call the city form, because it asks for the mobile home park owner information. We can probably figure it out, though letting the applicant, if it's a tenant, check a box is probably a little easier.
Yeah,
And which spaces are affected, it would be good to know. I mean, so, because I could see someone saying, okay, there's 20 of these, to pick a number. Well, if they tell us which spaces, we can probably look at a map and see if it even makes sense from, yes, and Paul, go ahead,
I think that the way these are done is each of the people gets their own bill. So I have no idea what my neighbor's bill is, or the next 15 people down the line, unless they share it. Now, if one person reads it and goes, oh my gosh, they've made an error on this, and there's a hearing on it, then and we may have a thing that happens where the accounting people for the park make a mistake in calculating it, and that mistake goes out to everybody. Well, I think that if we find, if one person comes to us with the mistake and says that there's a mistake, and we agree that there was a mistake and it should be something different, as part of anything we do, we would ask them to look at everything else that they've done at that same month and make sure they didn't make that same mistake 100 times. So without having each one of those other 99 people in my example, having come forward and complain individually.
And
I get that, I just wanted to know if there are others is what I want, and
Right.
you've sort of explained, maybe without knowing so, the rationale why big tort cases, everybody gets together, the heavy hitters all get in one courtroom, they try it once and see what happens, everybody knows, and then, 500 other cases settle
Right.
based on those results, and that's why they have, they're not show trials, they're the real deal, but it's to get an idea, and that's the same concept, it's a good idea,
so,
I think, I mean.
so what Commissioner Sampson is describing is like in a mass tort context,
Yeah.
there are bellwether cases, right? And,
Right.
There might be 1,000 plaintiffs. The court randomly or somewhat randomly selects 10 of them as bellwethers, and those go to trial, and they're not binding on any of the 990 other plaintiffs or the defendant for that matter, but they nonetheless give the 990 plaintiffs and the defendant a better understanding of how those other cases are going to turn out. What I was thinking of with respect to the question of is the issue you describe above applicable to more than one space is a little bit different. More along the lines of a class action or a representative action. Now maybe that's more lawyer speak, so let me try to put it into lay terms here. So if in the situation that you described, Paul, where a mistake is made in accounting or something, that may indeed affect only one unit, and the person either does or doesn't know whether that same error was made. They do an application, we make a decision, and that may guide the ParK owner to perhaps correct the remainder, or check and make sure that mistake wasn't made. Take another example that was raised at our first meeting, a $25 warrant, right? And I'm not judging whether that is lawful or not lawful at this stage, but that $25 fee was apparently charged to every person in the park. That's going to be a common issue, and as a commission, we should be able to decide, is the park owner allowed to charge that $25 or not? And if the answer is no, then or yes for that matter, it applies to all of the nearly 300 units in that park. And that's what this is trying to get at, is where there is a common issue that we can address commonly. Hopefully that's a long-winded lawyer explanation, maybe a little bit helpful. So
Yeah, I mean, that was my impression, was that, and we don't even have to say, hey, there's gonna be 25, I'd like to know, though, if we're looking ahead to 20 of them, or 300, and the $25 one, go ahead. Who wants to hear $325 cases? If we have to, we will, we're obligated to, but you try to expedite things. And I have no idea if that's a valid concern or not.
And it was done very sneaky. That's what's so
Well, I'm not gonna
bad.
determine that, and that's,
So,
I
that
mean,
may or may
if
not
somebody
be
brings it to
presented
us, we'll listen to what the people say. There's another side to that. I'm not gonna make up my mind how it was done or whether it should be done. That would be completely inappropriate.
Thank you.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we need to engage in the hearing process to determine at some point whether that was appropriate or not, if the issue is presented to us. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So I have a couple questions, I suppose, and sort of suggestions as to how this might be made a little bit better. And I have circulated what I tried to put together as a consolidated form.
Do you have a copy for the
I
public?
have the public copy.
Oh, you got it up there, okay.
Yeah.
Janet, do you want a copy?
Sure.
Here you go. No, take it.
Thank you.
So you've got, Mr. Ross, you've got here name of mobile home park at the top, and then mobile home park owner information that requests the address and the telephone number of the park. Any particular reason why it's both of those?
No, and our intent was just to prepare a single option for your consideration with the anticipation that it might be accepted or modified somewhat or completely. So we're totally open to the suggestions and then, of course, the approval action of the commission.
Okay, so I don't think we should ask the address and telephone number of the mobile home park owner, because presumably the city has that information already. There's two parks. If an applicant says this is Point Doom Club, if the applicant says this is Paradise Cove, or both, we know who, how to contact that owner. The applicant information, I would, instead of providing an address, I would actually have an email address, and that's what, and perhaps the address of the applicant as well.
Yeah, it's just having the applicant's address.
Yeah. So we discussed the, is the issue you described applicable to more than one space? If so, describe which spaces so that we know the breadth of the issue and what we're deciding. And then I noticed above the brief statement, you removed the phrase "or has been overcharged." And is there a reason for that? And then finally on my list here, you've changed city clerk to city manager. Is there a reason for that?
The current regulations have the city manager's office processing these applications and directs them to their office.
That's not overloading the city manager? I guess if you overloaded you instead, right? But
I think the idea was, since they've taken all the regular applications, it's been with their department. I'm sure that's something you can discuss with the city manager if you'd like to.
okay, no, that's fine.
Is it C Bond at Malibu City for her?
That's
Right now.
her direct email address.
Yeah, but
But
it should probably just be city manager.
correct. That's why we have department inboxes, so that things can be sent to the
Oh.
department without being sent to an individual.
Remember, we go through city managers every 3 months in Malibu.
Well,
So.
stop it.
I have a question. I have one of the residents just asked me, the Point Doom Club Association should have been told us that that's funny feeling that we didn't know that there was these meetings. So I've been talking to some of the neighbors. What are you talking about? More than 20% they don't know that we're having a meeting.
Sure.
Well,
So how are we going to announce that to everybody?
Well, it's in the Malibu Times.
Is it really?
Yeah,
really?
it's on the city's website. And
But when it comes to be an issue for our park, I'm just getting, a comment says, well, I didn't know that there was a meeting today.
why don't you let them know that the third Thursday of every month, there will be a meeting at 1:30.
So how we're gonna announce that to everybody in the
They
park?
should
Chair
sign up.
Shankman, our website also does have an option for any member of the public to subscribe for email or text alerts whenever a commission agenda is posted.
If they sign their email up, then the city will email them the agenda as soon as it's posted for the meeting.
So we're gonna have
I was talking about that a little bit ago. You do go to the city website, go ahead, and I'm not good with this stuff. It took me a while to get on some of these notice lists that I want to be on. And I appreciate the problem, because I didn't hear about this silly swimming pool at the high school. And I'm fairly attuned to this stuff. But you can sign up and the system does work, and you'll probably get more emails than you want, but you will get emails from the cities if you signed up for this commission. Notice of our activity, the agenda is posted, it's public record. It'll be on the city website. You can get every agenda for every commission, but they've got to do a little legwork on their own here.
But see, some of them didn't know there's issues in the park too. They you know,
So,
it's just
okay.
it's a catch-22.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
We
We need
structure
we need a little
meeting
help
bit
with
here,
that.
so,
Okay.
we
Yeah,
try to
thank
make
you.
it informal.
Yeah.
Okay, so, any other commissioner comments regarding the form? Commissioner Grisanti?
I could be very happy with either one of these. The use of either one of these would result in us getting actual notice that there's a problem. And that's the most important thing. And as once we start, if we have problems and we have them reported to us and we have a hearing about them, we will come to a decision about whether or not it's a misunderstanding or a problem and move on, because making the decision is what informs the landlord about what they should be doing.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yeah, or we may be informing the tenant. Yeah, I prefer the longer form that Chair Shankman drafted with the penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California. Trevor knows what I'm talking about. So this we forget
Okay.
that. There's nothing wrong with the city's form. I prefer the chair's form, and we will probably learn what doesn't work. But we hope to learn that it works. And when someone gets this, they'll fill it out and tell us what's going on.
So I'll make a motion at the conclusion of this, consistent with what Commissioner Sampson just mentioned. But it also leads into a discussion that I think needs to take place related to the form and the rules. On my list here, I have whether rent adjustment applications can be made by organizations. And this was discussed a little bit at the last meeting. I would suggest that an organization should be able to make an application for rent adjustment where two conditions are met of the organization. One, that the application is germane to the purpose of the organization. And two, that one or more members or people with indicia of membership in that organization have standing to make the application. And that is for many purposes, but one that was discussed at the last meeting is fear of retaliation. I think that the mobile home parks, the residents are probably more averse to retaliation than the general public as a whole, that they fear retaliation by a park owner, that if they make an application that they will be retaliated against. And I know the ordinance says that park owners aren't allowed to retaliate, and there's provisions in there about presumptions of retaliation when an unlawful detainer case is filed within a year of an application and all that. But as a practical matter, I don't think that those protections are sufficient, and no one should be scared away from petitioning their government out of fear of retaliation. So I will also be including, and maybe we do this as separate motions, but allowing organizations under those circumstances to be the applicant on this form. We've talked about.
We can't change the rules about who can apply. That's not on the agenda. We can't really even discuss it.
Yeah, I think it's included in the form.
We're talking about the form. You can't change the substantive rules.
Okay, so
if you want to put something on the form that says,
yeah,
are you an organization?
So I disagree with the city attorney's interpretation of the scope of this agenda item. We are putting together an application
There's
form.
no notice to the public that we're going to discuss the item. There's no agenda discussing it. we need to be able to
Why
publish
don't-
that so they can be a part of the discussion.
Okay, why don't we, if you want to make an objection, we can certainly put it to a vote of the commission to, in that motion. And your objections with respect to the scope of the agenda item, I think have been heard by the commission, and we'll,
This is
maybe I'll
beyond,
vote.
Kevin, this is beyond the scope. Under the Brown Act, we have to agendize any items to be talked about. If we don't have it, if we don't notify that we're gonna change the rules, then we can't take action on it. So I have to advise you not to make this motion to change something that has not been agendized, that is not on the agenda. We have an agenda item to discuss the form. If you wanna deal with the form, we can do it here. If you wanna talk about changing the rules, let's put it on an agenda so everyone can know we're gonna talk about the rules. There might be people out there that wanna come in and participate and say something about what the rules are that we wanna put in place.
Okay,
My
Commissioner
understanding is that we are here to enforce the mobile home park rent control regulations in chapter 5.16. So is there something in here that says that the applications must be made by the homeowner? Or that forbids a group from applying? If they have a homeowners association that wants to file, do we have something in here that says that this is the whole thing that our existence is based on? And I think that it's probably, we're talking about something that if we find something wrong with one person and we fix it for that one person, believe me, it's gonna spread like wildfire. And everybody would go back and say, it's what you were saying, it's a bellwether case. I think that, but I don't know, not knowing that we were gonna be discussing this, I didn't bother to go through this and look to see if there's a provision that says that they can't, that a homeowners association can't do that for the homeowners.
so,
I will answer that question by, I don't know too. However, I think I heard Trevor say something that might save this. We're talking about the form and that is agendized, correct?
Correct.
So name of applicants, including organizations, does that solve the problem?
You can put that on there, but we can't change the actual rules.
Well, that doesn't change the
Yes.
rule.
You
And
wanna put that on there?
Mr. Grisanti and I are both ignorant right at the moment as to whether or not the ordinance forbids applications by, for example, a homeowners association or the, what's the name of the street? Sundaisy Street, is there? Paul? Max Heller.
Heathercliff?
Yeah, Max Heller lived there. Maybe there's one just for one street, and I happen to remember that one. Maybe there is such an I don't know. But for an organization, if we add that in there, am I correct? We are not violating the Brown Act, it's on the agenda.
No,
Does that solve our problem? I hope it does. That's my intent.
I think it likely solves our immediate problem.
Okay.
In my view. And I think, also, Commissioner Grisanti, what I heard you saying is, well, if it's not prohibited in the statute, and I'm confident that it's not, but, feel free to review, then, we don't necessarily even need to adopt an affirmative rule in this respect. The application can say that, and when the application comes before the commission, we can address it. And I would be fine with that as well.
Okay, so you just make
Yeah, so-
names of applicants.
And then
just put it
parentheses
as
may be an
parentheses.
organization.
Applicant may be an organization.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Attorney?
I think you already got the answer of yes.
Yeah,
which is the one
okay.
you want anyway, so why
Yeah,
ask the
didn't you?
question again?
Okay, I'm not gonna, okay, you already ruled in my favor, I'm not gonna argue anymore. I should know that by now.
So, and then consistent with the treatment of the form, I would also urge the commission to allow an applicant to challenge a decision by staff that an application is not complete. and that's solely for the purpose of allowing due process. This is a concern that, hopefully never materializes, but I can definitely see an applicant completing the form. The city staff believes that it's not complete for one reason or another. The applicant disagrees, and the applicant never has an opportunity to be heard. And due process, in my view, dictates that the applicant be heard by a judicial or quasi-judicial body.
This isn't on the agenda for this one either, so.
I knew that's what we were gonna
We
say.
can discuss it. There are also implications that we need to get into about that. It could affect whether an action is ministerial or discretionary. It would affect other issues involving this. So I think it's something that should be explored. If you want to put it on an agenda to discuss, we could do that, but it's not on here today.
Okay,
That area is handled in 5.16.100.
right, and I, what the statute says is basically the city decides whether the application is complete or not.
Right, within 21 days of the
Yeah.
application filed.
So then my question is,
Then you have a
what
huge problem.
if the applicant and the city staff disagree about whether the application is complete?
Well, if they're supposed to give you written notice of any flaw, any deficiency in the application within 21 days. And I would imagine that they're gonna try and do it sooner than that, so that people will get a chance to correct any deficiency.
Okay, now suppose that the city staff believes that there is a deficiency, but the applicant disagrees and believes there is no deficiency.
Well, I would imagine then that someone would end up coming to the meeting and complaining to us about it.
Right, and what I'm suggesting is that the commission have the ability to say, okay, we see your application, we think it is complete, and we're going to accept it.
Okay, we can't discuss it. It's not on the agenda. Okay, so if we want to talk about it at a future agenda, we could. There's a lot of things.
Okay, I think the discussion is certainly within the topic of the forum.
It's not. We're talking about
Okay,
changing
but Trevor,
to determine it.
look, there's one presiding officer over this meeting, okay? And so the objection has been heard, appreciate it, but, it's not appropriate to then come in and try to block this,
I'm not blocking
discussion.
anything. I have
Okay.
an obligation to provide advice and ensure they comply with the Brown Act.
All right.
Okay.
And I'm gonna keep speaking up if we're gonna talk about items that are not on the agenda.
Okay.
We just need to put it on the agenda. We need to provide everyone notice so people that wanna say something about the item can come here and they're aware that we're gonna talk about it today.
Okay.
Nobody knows we're gonna talk about that.
I've heard the advice, thank you for the advice. I'm sure the other commissioners have heard the advice as well. So, Commissioner Grisanti, you understand what I'm suggesting?
I understand what you're suggesting, but I also think that we're solving a problem that doesn't exist right now and hasn't been noticed. So let's move on. And in the meantime, I think that the normal behavior of people who are upset about something will ensure that we find out about any rejection, and we can deal with it at that point.
Okay. Any further discussion on
Or
this item?
counsel them to.
Or I will, I'll craft a motion.
No more discussion.
Commissioner Grisanti, anything further?
Nothing.
Then I have two motions, separately. One is to approve the form that I distributed, today with the following changes.
Which is a modification of the city's.
Correct.
Okay.
With the following changes. First, after names of applicants, should read parentheses, may be an organization, close parentheses. Then down at the bottom of the page, after under penalty of perjury should read under the laws of the state of California. And then finally, at the very bottom, replacing Malibu City Clerk with Malibu City Manager and providing the email address
City manager.
citymanager@malibucity.org. Can I have
Second, I'll third it.
All right.
a motion by chair, seconded by Commissioner Sampson right before Commissioner Crisanti did the same. Let's have a vote. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And Ms. Pettijohn, do we need to make a motion to publish this on the city's website, or is that going to be done on?
I think the city manager's office has that intent, but I wouldn't speak for you, Richard.
Yep, the intent would be to replace the existing forms that are there all over the city's website with this new form.
Do you need a motion to that effect, or? And then second motion is to have on the next meeting agenda for this commission adoption of a rule permitting an applicant to challenge a decision by staff that an application is not complete.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sampson. Any discussion or other comment?
I'd love to discuss it for a moment. I think that if someone gets a notice from the staff that their application is not complete, the normal course of that is there is going to be a conversation about what's missing. Now, if I can't imagine a situation where what's missing is going to be more difficult than a copy of the bill they received or something like that. I'm trying to think of what kind of possible. I don't know if in the past 34 years there has ever been an application that was rejected for not being complete. And I think we're talking about a problem that doesn't exist, in my opinion.
Paul, you may be right. Kevin and I make a living because people's capacity for ineptitude, shall we say, to say nothing of cruelty, it appears to be infinite. And I agree. It's not likely. Courts, for example, regularly hear motions and judges decide, am I entitled to hear this? I mean, it seems a little strange, and it is strange. Court says, no, I'm not permitted to hear this. Supreme Court does that fairly regularly, and other courts do also. And so it gets here, we can say, well, we shouldn't be hearing it, or we should be hearing it, but at least I think we should have the bite at the apple. And I'm with you. I don't know how it can come up. I find staff to be generally helpful. I think my battery just died. And we'll explain to people what's missing. And I can't come up with a scenario right now myself, but in case there is one, I'd like to let the people come to us.
Yeah, so the reason I think this is necessary to go on the agenda for the next meeting is because of some legal work and legal research that I have done in connection with other matters. So, Paul, let's move this, let's take this into.
Can I suggest perhaps that looking at the form we've just approved, it doesn't say provide any documents that you have about what you're complaining about. So that would be an obvious thing that I would want to add to this.
So let me make a suggestion, and perhaps this is another motion as well. we need to promulgate rules concerning the timing of submissions, for example, for applications. So, you know, this was a discussion at the city council within the last month or two for you know, planning commission appeals, about when evidence and argument need to be presented in writing prior to a hearing, and then when it needs to be provided by the other side. And I think that that's probably a discussion that we need to have as well. It's not on the agenda, but perhaps it should be on the next agenda to set those times when evidence is presented.
Well,
You look like you're in pain.
no, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and to me, we have a very practical job here. The person is gonna get their bill, they're gonna look at the bill, they're gonna go, this isn't right, it isn't right because X, Y, and Z. So I'm gonna fill out this form, I'm gonna provide a copy of X, Y, and Z to the city. And maybe the city will say, oh, we also need a copy of W. Oh, I didn't know about that, I'll get you W as well. So I'm trying to think of,
Let me try to back this up a little bit.
Okay.
So, I've been called upon by several legislators in California to draft legislation for you.
right,
And if you go to, I'm gonna get myself in a little bit of trouble here, but if you go to legislative council to have them draft it, they will draft something that oftentimes comes out sounding aspirational. And when I draft legislation, I try to think of how is the worst actor going to try to circumvent the intent of this legislation. And that's, I think, to some extent what I'm suggesting that we ought to do here. But in this instance, I think it's also required by due process considerations. And that can be a discussion at the next meeting. All I'm suggesting here with the motion that I believe was seconded by Commissioner Sampson is that we have that discussion at the next meeting.
okay, well, let's discuss it at the next meeting.
So we have a motion and a second to bring back at the next meeting promulgation of a rule permitting an applicant to challenge a decision by staff that an application is not complete. Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
One opposed.
Motion carries.
Did you want to add something to the form that we just approved, Paul?
We just talked about it.
I know we talked about it, do we want to, is
I,
that
I'm,
okay with you, Kevin? Submit any documents or,
yeah, there should be a line on here that please support any written documents, any documents about your claim.
Any documents that you believe support your claim?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second that.
Can we go back and do that, since we're revisiting the form?
Yeah, you have something that says attach additional pages, you can just say attach additional pages or documents if necessary.
Yeah, additional pages and supporting documents.
That would be
Okay,
great.
is that an amended motion to,
I will accept the change to assorted documents and
to show the form with the additional change?
Yeah.
Friendly amendment is accepted.
second, or,
Second by
Whatever I have
Commissioner
to do.
Sampson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Not any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Anything further on this item from any of the commissioners?
no,
So we are on to the ad hoc committee item, right? formation of ad hoc committee. Mr. Ross, do you have any report on this or no? Okay. So I think we have already done this. So in fact, the minutes of the last meeting at pages 6 and 7 say we already voted on this. We wanted to do this again?
Yeah, I thought it, my recollection was that it was directed to bring back an item of consent to appoint the commission. So if you just want to take the action as a belt and suspenders, I don't have the tape in front of us. That it'd be, the two of you be appointed to the commission, I think that's what it was, for the ad hoc.
And the other question is, do we know who the other two people are? Because we can't have an ad hoc that's a majority of the counts of the group.
So I think we can,
Yeah.
we can have an ad hoc that is less than a majority of the size of the body. So that's still two, even though 2 seats are vacant. I see Trevor, you're,
No, because it's gonna be who's actually on the commission. At this point,
Is
we only have
Rob
3 members, right?
We only have 3 members.
Rob-
So
Robert.
what I would suggest is that you appoint the ad hoc contingent that becomes effective upon the, well, can we even create an ad hoc considering we don't have the other members?
Well-
And they're not gonna be
Can we
appointed until the
create
next meeting.
Ad hoc if it doesn't meet until the other members are appointed?
We have an ad hoc. We
yeah,
approved it at the last meeting. That's,
so maybe we just leave it alone.
that may be the thing to do.
That's a great idea. Let's
Because-
get 2 more people in the meantime.
Well, we're
Right,
gonna have
but
two more
at
people
that
now.
meeting, Rob Blackman was still a member of the commission,
Right.
even though he wasn't here that day, and thus we appointed the ad hoc committee that's less than a majority.
Yeah.
And
But at this point, that ad hoc can't meet together until we have more members. That's a good point. Because right now, you'd be meeting and you would be a majority of the body, and you'd be able to adopt it, the 2-1 vote. So we wouldn't be, you can't have an ad hoc with 2 people on a 3-person committee. It's gotta be less than
are you sure that it's calculated based on the 3, not the 5?
yeah, it's based on who's actually on the commission. The purpose being that you don't have a majority that's determining, because otherwise you'd be, basically you'd be able to create the ordinance not at a public meeting.
Okay, so look, my suggestion is just to leave this alone for now.
Sure.
Let's do
Does the
that.
commission want it to come back at your next meeting with additional members?
No, I think we just leave it alone.
We need we would like the we would like the city council people who did not appoint us to each appoint 1 person so that we will have 5 bodies.
Yep.
And I'm guessing that someone got a formal resignation from Rob Blackman.
Rob Blackman has resigned.
It's officially.
I did not know that.
So why don't we do this? I don't think we need to take any action. I think that the members who were appointed to the ad hoc committee understand the advice from the city attorney, that until the 2 other members are officially appointed, we can't meet concerning this topic. The ad hoc committee can't meet concerning this topic, but I will nonetheless, because it is somewhat time sensitive, the content, I will make a motion to include on the next agenda a discussion and potential approval of recommendations for amendment of the mobile home rent stabilization ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion from commissioners? Oh, we also didn't do public comment, did we?
Yes, because we spent a lot of time discussing the item.
Any Verity Caddick public comment on this item?
Can we go faster? Please.
That's what we're trying to do.
It's 3:00, guys.
All right, so
I know.
any
Because-
any commissioner comments?
You don't want to waste time.
Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No one opposed. Which brings us to communications from the public concerning matters which are not on the agenda, but for which the commission has subject matter jurisdiction. Any comments from the public concerning other matters? Seeing none, next item is commissioner comments and inquiries. Commissioner Grisanti, anything?
I'm just curious, what is the third Thursday of November? Our next
The Thursday before the Thanksgiving Thursday,
Not
but I don't know the
Thanksgiving,
date.
Right.
No, it's not.
I think it's the
Thanksgiving.
20th, Paul.
The 20th.
It is the 20th of November.
Okay. Great.
You wanted Thanksgiving dinner together, guys, sorry.
Well,
That's not gonna be
You're
good.
invited to my Thanksgiving dinner, Charlie.
we're not
Oh,
gonna have,
no, he's vegan.
Good.
It's a joke.
And, anything from the commission? Okay.
No.
Nothing from me either. And I move to adjourn in
Second.
memory of Andrew Blackman and Axel Mall. And just say, be safe out there. Those are two residents of the Pointing Club who passed away recently, untimely passing. So, move to adjourn in their memory.
second, third.
Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.